Luigi Mangione said nothing as he headed into court facing 11 felony charges in relation to the fatal shooting last December of UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson on a sidewalk in Midtown.
Alexa, thank you. NYPD working around the clock. They've been traveling back and forth between New York and Altoona, Pennsylvania, since accused killer Luigi Mangione was arrested.
Yeah, one of the men making that trip is Deputy Commissioner of Operations Kaz Daughtry. He joins us now alongside Chief of Patrol John Schell. So great to have both of you here.
Thank you.
This is a case, obviously, that you were laser focused on putting those images out there to us so we can get that individual found. But now there's a lot of questions about the motive behind all of this, right? And the manifesto is out there. And in part of that manifesto, he wrote, allegedly, that these parasites had it coming. So have you had a chance to read the manifesto, and did that provide you any idea of why there was a potential motive here?
Well, the motive on the surface looks like he had an animus towards healthcare industry, and he wasn't happy with that. In terms of the manifesto, our Detective Bureau, our Intel Bureau will parse through that, go through the wording about what it really means and where it leads them to. So a lot of work still to be done post-arrest, if you will, for the investigation. But like I said, he had an animus towards the healthcare system. We'll leave it at that. But when they go deeper into that, who knows where it's going to lead them. Yeah, and Mr. Daughtry, you actually traveled to Altoona when this news broke, right? Were you able to speak to Mr. Mangione about this, about anything about a motive, and what did you observe when he was there?
I did not speak with the individual, but what I observed was NYPD detectives kind of like we are a big department. We had a lot of detectives down there, and it's almost, I kind of felt we almost took over their whole department. But I did observe the interagency collaboration. What do I mean by that? Our NYPD detectives working hand in hand with the Altoona Police Department, with the local federal agents that were down there, with the state police down there, and just watching them in the room, watching them go over what they had, how did they get to this conclusion, how did they get to the McDonald's, and just watching that whole, the whole machine work, and everybody was on the same sheet of music, same sheet of page, and big thank you to the Altoona Police Department. Just it was something fascinating to watch.
Great police work all around, and of course, thank you to the public for stepping forward and splattering this guy's face everywhere. Yep. But now that he's fighting extradition, how hard is it to get him back to New York? What are the next steps? The process is he's laying the process to come back to New York City. He will see a judge in Pennsylvania, and ultimately, sooner or later, he'll be back in a Manhattan courtroom facing his charges from the Manhattan DA's office. What is the delay due to the case of him? Well, it's a process. He has the right to waive his extradition, which he did. He'll be assigned a judge in Pennsylvania, and they'll get together. They will send him back to New York City. He could delay the process all he wants. He's coming back to the city to pay for his crime. My quick follow-up to that is, how hard is it going to be to try this case when this killer, alleged killer, has so many sympathizers? If you look at social media, people are claiming he's a hero.
I mean, it's disheartening to hear that and see some of those images on social media that people are hailing this individual a hero when he took somebody's life in cold blood in our streets. Yeah. And as far as the case goes, the amount of work the New York City Police Department's detectives, Chief Kenny and his detectives, got in 5 or 6 days is immense. I mean, between the ballistics, the forensics, the laborious task of tracking video, the video from the cab, the tracking the cab to Manhattan, immense amount of evidence they have. Yeah. So they'll work hard to tighten up the probable cause so the case sticks. They represent the family, and they work in conjunction with Alvin Bragg in his office, and they just did a really nice job here. And then the community, to your point, got involved in Altoona, and it was a good teamwork here. A few questions about where he was going. Was that it, right? Was Brian Thompson, the United CEO, was that the only target? Were there other targets? No, you have the laptop, the cell phone, the gun. They're going through ballistics, right? They have the manifesto. Is there any indication that there were others? I mean, we're looking at all possible leads. Our Deputy Commissioner of Intelligence has her analysts on this. But let's talk about how we got to the photo. I think it's very important for your viewers and New Yorkers to know, and the world to know, that we got a brand new police commissioner. Probably one of the biggest cases this year so far that she was in charge of. And with myself, Chief Schell, the chief of department, and her team was in her executive conference room, and Chief Kenny laid out some of the photos that we have recovered. And immediately she said, we need to get these photos out to New Yorkers. We need to get these photos out to America, to the world, so that they can help us try to apprehend this individual.
Yeah, it's obviously the power of getting that photo out there really led to this. There are fears now, to Cal's point, not only the sympathizers, but of copycats. There are a lot of people who feel affected by the healthcare industry and big companies overall. What are you hearing in terms of copycats? There were some posters that were hung around New York City. Can you talk about what you're seeing now play out, not only physically, but also on the internet?
Well, Commissioner Weiner stated there's an increase in threats to companies, and through our NYPD Century, our private partnership with companies, we are learning them what's happening. They have their own private security. They'll make their adjustments to that. But it's that partnership with communication that will keep people safe. So the communication is key here, and letting them know what's going on so they can make their adjustments.
But have any of the companies reached out to the NYPD to say, hey, we need help, or this is a threat made?
Yes, they have. And our Commissioner of Intelligence is spearheading that. I believe yesterday at our staff briefing, that the Commissioner, when she briefed the Commissioner about incidents like this, immediately she told our Commissioner of Intelligence to get a conference call with all of the heads of these healthcare agencies in our city, and she's going to give them a private briefing. And if anybody is feeling that they're being threatened or targeted, they contact our intelligence division, and we're going to do a threat assessment on that.
Or who?
I don't have any.
There's been a rise, okay, no doubt about it. So again, Inspector Weiner and our team are handling that in conjunction with, like I said, the SHIELD, and we're communicating. And that's a key, that everyone be on the same page, what we're doing, what's happening.
But if any company out there that is receiving threats or emails, they should definitely contact us so that we can have our analysts and our intel detectives go over there and mitigate those threats and give it a quick analysis on the threats as well.
I've got to ask the question again. Is there a reason to believe that Luigi Mangione would have continued killing if he was not caught?
Again, post-arrest investigation, there is so much work to be done here. So, for instance, he had a laptop in Pennsylvania. That's a search warrant. They'll look at all these avenues, and there's a lot of work to get done here. So, can't answer that question. The detectives, Intel Division, our federal partners will look at all of this.
But sure, he acted alone.
We don't know yet, but that's why we're asking, and I'm glad you bring it up, because we want your viewers, and we want New Yorkers to know, and the world to know, that if this individual contacted anybody, to please contact us. 1-800-577-TIPS, so we can include that into our investigation also.
Okay, Deputy Commissioner Operations Kaz Archer, Chief Shell, great to have you on. Thank you for being here. Go ahead.
Thank you. No, I was actually, I know it's Christmas time coming. I know last time you had a problem putting the bike together. So if you need any help, just please let us know. We'll be more than happy to help you there.
It might be, last time you said it was $40. It might be $50. With the
I'm never going to live this down. Never going to live this down. But thankfully, I have this pen that can help me out. Thankfully, I can have this John Shell pen that's available for a limited time. This was given to me for Olivia, so thank you.
Nice. Six-pack is $3.99.
Not quite the hair that you have, but sure. Great to have you guys here. As always, 741.
Thank you. Happy holidays to you. Stay safe.
New York's most notorious murder suspect brought back to the city Thursday afternoon. Luigi Mangione waiving extradition in Pennsylvania, where he was captured 10 days ago following a massive manhunt. The NYPD first flying the 26-year-old back on its plane to Long Island, then by chopper to Lower Manhattan, where it was a spectacle, greeted by a phalanx of heavily armed cops, the police commissioner, and the mayor.
I wanted to look him in the eye and stated that you carried out this terrorist act in my city.
He was then whisked away to a federal building in Lower Manhattan, where he learned new charges had been brought by the U.S. attorney, charges that carry the possibility of death if convicted of the murder of Brian Thompson. His defense attorneys, husband and wife, Mark and Karen Friedman Agnifilo, railed against the new charges as highly unusual and raising double jeopardy concerns. Earlier in the week, Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg unsealed his own state indictment. Agnifilo telling the judge, in 30 years, frankly, I've never seen anything like what is happening here. DA Bragg explained it like this.
Speaking generally, we've had state prosecutions and federal prosecutions proceed as parallel matters.
In new court filings, investigators say among the trove of evidence, they recovered writings from Mangione in a notebook, outlining a plan to, quote, whack an insurance executive to send a message to the industry, an entry from August 15th. The details are finally coming together. The target is insurance. It checks every box, he allegedly wrote. Then October 22nd, 1.5 months, the investor conference is a true windfall. And most important, the message becomes self-evident.
41% of those under the age of 30 believe that the shooting was justified. It's unacceptable.
Well, Luigi Mangione, he's the accused UnitedHealthcare CEO shooter, and he could be returned to New York today. Mangione is expected to first appear in court in Pennsylvania for a hearing on weapons charges. The second extradition hearing, he's expected to waive extradition and be moved to New York. Prosecutors call the shooting an act of terrorism and say they have a strong case against Mangione. And if convicted on the murder charge, he could face life in prison.
The man charged with killing the CEO of UnitedHealthcare is facing a judge today, and we've now learned federal prosecutors will seek the death penalty in this high-profile case.
Pix 11's Kala Rama has more from Lower Manhattan. Kala?
Luigi Mangione is expected in court this afternoon, where he will appear before a judge for his arraignment and expected to plead not guilty to these new federal charges where prosecutors are seeking the death penalty. New from overnight, here are the documents showing federal prosecutors plan to seek the death penalty if Mangione is convicted. Prosecutors say it's warranted as he stalked the victim, UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson, and murdered him through the use of a firearm. On April 1st, U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi made the announcement the Justice Department is pursuing capital punishment as President Trump vowed to resume federal executions.
If there was ever a death case, this is one. This guy is charged with hunting down a CEO, a father of two, a married man, hunting him down and executing him.
Mangione's defense attorneys have already called the decision to seek the death penalty a political stunt and barbaric.
Luigi's right to a fair trial is being infringed upon because he is being publicly treated as guilty and as having the presumption of guilt as opposed to the presumption of innocence.
26-year-old Mangione, an Ivy League educated man from a prominent Maryland real estate family, faces separate federal and state murder charges after police say he gunned down UnitedHealthcare executive Brian Thompson. New York State does not have the death penalty, but if he is found guilty on the state murder charges, he faces a maximum sentence of life without parole. This is the Midtown crime scene outside the Hilton Hotel back on December 4th, where investigators found the words delay, deny, and depose written on the bullets, referencing how insurance companies avoid paying claims. You may recall there was a 5-day search for Mangione not only in the city, but across the country. The search led to his arrest in Altoona, Pennsylvania. Luigi Mangione expected in Lower Manhattan by this afternoon, arraignment taking place at 1 p.m.
And the murder allegations against Luigi Mangione putting his fate in question. His defense team arguing for the case in which Mangione is accused of murdering a healthcare CEO be dismissed.
Yeah, they're saying shoddy police work actually violated his constitutional rights. Pix 11's Anthony DiLorenzo takes us through this lengthy motion and has a breakdown, including some new images, actually, of the arrest. Anthony.
Corey Shirley, good evening. The two arguments that stand out from all of this stem from Luigi's arrest in Pennsylvania. His defense team calling for a judge to actually throw out any statements made to police, as well as all evidence found inside of his backpack, arguing that cops broke the law by not immediately reading him his rights and failing to obtain a search warrant before finding that gun. These are never-before-seen images from the now infamous McDonald's arrest of Luigi Mangione in Altoona, Pennsylvania last December.
Me and my partner and I recognized him immediately.
He had asked the suspect if he had been in New York City recently.
In a court filing, defense counsel seizing on those remarks and the actions of Altoona police. The 57-page motion asking a state judge to suppress statements Mangione made to law enforcement between December 9th and December 19th, 2024. His attorney, Karen Agnifilo, saying after reviewing body-worn camera footage provided by prosecutors, It had been nearly 20 minutes after law enforcement first approached Mr. Mangione, prevented him from leaving, and asked him numerous interrogation questions. They finally read him his Miranda warnings.
The first thing you do is read them their rights.
Veteran New York City defense attorney Ron Kuby says the Altoona police officer on the job for 6 months made a potentially devastating rookie mistake.
It's entirely possible that Mr. Mangione's statements will not be admitted into evidence, and it's somewhat possible that the evidence taken from his backpack will also be excluded.
The defense court motion also asked the judge to toss all evidence recovered from Mangione's backpack. That evidence found inside includes the alleged murder weapon, the silencer, and the manifesto. Attorney Agnifilo writing, body camera footage reveals another officer commented that at this point, we probably need a search warrant for it.
They can still prosecute the case without those pieces of evidence, but it makes things that much harder for them.
So his legal team is also calling for the judge to eliminate the terrorism charge and flat-out dismissal of the case, citing double jeopardy. Manhattan prosecutors said they would respond to all of this in court. A date is set for later next month. Shirley?
And Anthony, all right, so if a judge were to rule prosecutors cannot show the gun or the manifesto to jurors and even his statements, do legal experts think this case is even winnable?
Short answer is yes, but it might lead to lesser charges. There is, of course, that surveillance video we saw earlier of the Midtown murder CEO Brian Thompson, and what investigators say is evidence of him being in New York City during the time of the murder based on surveillance video where Mangione is allegedly seen.
7:33, developing right now. Could a critical police error put the case against accused CEO killer Luigi Mangione in jeopardy?
That's one issue. Another being raised entirely tossing out one of the cases against Mangione. Kirsten Cole here with more on what the defense is now challenging in court. So what's going on here?
You know, so $1 million has been raised for his legal defense fund, and his lawyers are hard at work on his behalf. 57 pages his attorney submitted in this recent filing. They want key evidence tossed out. They only want one case to proceed, not two, citing double jeopardy, and they want the death penalty off the table, saying murder as an act of terrorism does not fit these allegations. All of this layered in with a first look at images from police body-worn camera showing Mangione being apprehended at that McDonald's in Pennsylvania. A first look at the now infamous arrest inside a Pennsylvania McDonald's of Luigi Mangione, coming as his attorneys are using police officers' own words, asking a judge to toss crucial evidence.
Me and my partner and I recognized him immediately.
He had asked the suspect if he had been in New York City recently.
A defense motion now to throw out evidence based on those admissions. 57 pages of arguments asking the judge and the state prosecution to suppress statements Mr. Mangione made to law enforcement between December 9 and 19, 2024. Further, after prosecutors turned over police body-worn footage, Mangione's attorney, Karen Agnifilo, asserting nearly 20 minutes after law enforcement first approached Mr. Mangione, prevented him from leaving, and asked him numerous interrogation questions, they finally read Mr. Mangione his Miranda warnings.
The first thing you do is read them their rights.
Veteran defense attorney Ron Kuby says the actions of a rookie PA cop could mean crucial evidence gets tossed.
It's entirely possible that Mr. Mangione's statements will not be admitted into evidence, and it's somewhat possible that the evidence taken from his backpack will also be excluded.
Evidence including the alleged murder weapon, a silencer, and the manifesto. Attorney Agnifilo pointing out the video captures the officers saying, at this point, we probably need a search warrant for it.
They can still prosecute the case without those pieces of evidence. But it makes things that much harder for them.
So right now, his attorney's trying to exclude the weapon, the manifesto at the state level. Agnifilo also petitioning the court to try the federal case first. That's the one that carries the potential for the death penalty on this, which they're also looking to get tossed out. Dan and Hazel.
Dozens of Mangione supporters came to court, some before 3 a.m., in order to be guaranteed a seat. They said they were very pleased with this outcome. Luigi Mangione said nothing as he headed into court, facing 11 felony charges in relation to the fatal shooting last December of UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson on a sidewalk in Midtown. In court, Mangione took notes, but minutes later, Mangione actually had something of a smile on his face. As he was led out of the court hearing that had lasted less than 10 minutes, a possible reason for the smile? He was now facing less serious New York State charges than when he'd entered. Here's what happened. The top charges against Mangione involved terrorism being part of the murder he's accused of. But the judge, Gregory Caro, dropped those top two charges, saying that the fatal shooting did not meet New York State's definition of terrorism. Quote, "It does not follow that his goal was to intimidate and coerce a civilian population," the judge said, citing the exact definition of terrorism in his ruling on Mangione's case. The reaction to it? Cheers and applause by some of the dozens of supporters of Mangione who'd come to court.
What he did came from the heart, and it wasn't malice, right?
It's necessary good news that we've been waiting on for so long, so it's enough to keep us going for now, but the fight is on for sure.
That fight ahead will be challenging, according to a legal expert who's defended cases at the court where Mangione's hearing was.
The defendant is still facing a potential life sentence, so although this is a loss for the prosecutors, they still have a very strong indictment to proceed on.
Mangione still faces federal charges which could result in the death penalty. As for the state case, his next hearing is scheduled for December 1st, just days before the anniversary of the crime of which he's accused. Reporting from Lower Manhattan, I'm James Ford, Pix 11 News.